good Monday. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good Monday, a great start to the week. How's it going? I was saying that all of a sudden it hit me about how we were talking last night on the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott. Many of you were watching that. It hit me about Glenn joking about people that were too enthusiastic when they started. And I agreed with him. It drives me crazy when I hear a speaker that, just jumps on the stage and, hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, and does that fake morning motivation kind of thing. And then here I turned around and I absolutely did exactly what I made fun of. So that just struck me when I was saying that. So, hey, Darcy, great to see you. How you doing? It's going. It's Monday so far, Bonnie. Good to see you. Hey, Pam, great to see you. For those of you that aren't in the speaking world, as most of you that are watching aren't, the National Convention of the National Speakers Association is going on. It started this weekend, and we are doing it virtually this year. And it's so strange because I look forward to that. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And it's not necessarily that we go to a bunch of sessions. I have to admit that sometimes I skip the sessions, but it's just hanging out with Pam and seeing friends and, getting a chance to connect. And I think that's part of what we're missing most of all during this time of pandemic is that the fact that we're missing out on seeing folks and talking to folks. So that's why I love it that you're here. It really means the world that you would take time to be here because it's our chance to get together. Scott, great to see you. Yes, we're off to a good day. Thanks very much. Curtis, great seeing you. Missed you the past few days, but saw you were on with us last night. Appreciate that. A good sunny day. Gotta love that, Kit. All good. And Vegas is excited, as I'm sure a lot of Canada is, that hockey is back. So that's fantastic. Mike, great to see you. Oh, hey, man, I just appreciate that you're here when you are. Thank you very much for that. But we did have a couple really good programs this weekend. I think especially Sunday, got a lot of comments and some emails about that. So really, really, really appreciate that. I think we have a good topic today, and I hope you're going to find it. I hope you're going to find it valuable. Today's topic is what's holding you back from what you want. I mean, all of us, me included, we'd like to be more successful. So if we're not, there's got to be something that's holding us back. And I've got a few things that could be holding us back. Given the current situation, we're going to examine those and see how we can get rid of those and eliminate those and move beyond those. So there's 8 things I'm going to suggest, really 8.5, I'm going to suggest of things that are holding us back. So that's what we're going to talk about with today's Daily Distinction. But before we get in that, we are just a few days away. The Ultimate Business Summit, can you believe it? 10 days from now. 10 days is all you've got left. Sign up for the Ultimate Business Summit. Larry Winget, Randy Pennington, and I are, we are just so excited about it. Go to ultimatebusinesssummit.com. You'll see everything about it, all the speakers we've got coming in, and we've just got some great folks, and it's just going to be an extraordinary day and a half, and it's only $197. VIP tickets are $497. VIPs get a whole bunch of other things. They get all the video of the sessions, the transcript of the sessions, and Zoom calls following the event to check in, see how you're doing. All of that, and it's just $497. But for those of you watching Daily Distinction, if you enter the coupon code Scott when you check out, you save $100 off. So with the coupon, it's only $97 for general admission. VIPs are only $397. Man, I mean, that's the complete set of videos and everything else. It's just extraordinary. So go to ultimatebusinesssummit.com to check in. And Post-Pandemic Events is now open for registration. It's for meeting professionals. It's for speakers, financial advisors, sales professionals. It's really for anyone who has to move because of the pandemic from face-to-face contact into virtual events. And it's a short course on what you can do to really connect with people virtually, because we got to change how we think, because we need to change how we meet. And for those of you that watch Daily Distinction, just enter Distinct 50 and you get $50 off. Just enter Distinct 50 for your coupon code, and it'll get you $50 off Post-Pandemic Events if that is something going where you are. It's not good or bad. It's just different. I'm missing my NSA buddies so much, Pam. I could not agree more with that statement. You're Dead on about it. Cheryl, great seeing you. Mike, that is so cool. We can't wait either. We had a bunch of emails going back and forth this morning. We're chopping at the bit. We're ready to go. Hey, Ann, and you're at the golf outing at Sagamore in Noblesville today. Glad you were out there and volunteering. There's some great work. We had Colin Murphy, my pal from any area, that was on with us last night on the show talking about a golf outing charity event that's coming up to take care of the kids of wounded warriors. So, Charles, I was wondering where you were. I hadn't seen you yet. Glad you are here. Thank you for joining in from beautiful Silicon Valley today. Sonia, great to see you. I know it's your favorite day of the week. It's Monday. I love that when Sonia posts that on Monday. That is so fantastic. Oh, and thanks, Charles. Sharing is caring. And if you haven't shared this yet, why, please do. Okay, let's talk about what is holding you back from what you want. I mean, what are the barriers? And I came up with 8. And I'm not going to suggest to you this is an all-encompassing list, but it is a list I think you ought to at least think about. When we think about the distance between where we are and where we want to be, how do we fill that gap between where we are and where we want to be? Now, one thing I will assume is that you already know where you want to go, right? Now, if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what road to take, is the old thing that Alice in Wonderland said. That's not what we're going to talk about today. We can talk about that in a future episode. But today it's assuming there's something that you would desire. There is something that you want. There is a space between where you currently find yourself and where you want to be. It could be personal. It could be professional. There's a number of things it could be. And to start this off, let's be candid. It could be the situation that we find ourselves in. I mean, we have to be realistic about it, don't we? I mean, maybe the reason you're not where you want to be is because of the situation. Hey, I will admit to you, one of the places where I'd love to be is giving speeches. The situation prevents that from happening. So what I have to do to get to where I want to be, whether you want to talk about income or whatever, we got to find a new way to get there. We got to find a way that embraces the change that's going on in the world today. So if it's the situation, it's okay to acknowledge that, but it's not okay to let it overwhelm you. There's got to be a way that you can figure out what to do in this situation to get you where you want to be. Does that mean your income is going to be where it was? Maybe not. Does that mean, what does it mean? Well, anything's better than sitting still, right? Anything's better than sitting still. So we've got to find something. So here are 8 others. Taking the situation, we understand that might be the case. Okay, so here are the others. One of the reasons that prevents us from accomplishing what we want is that too frequently we compare ourselves to others. In other words, we look at their finished painting and compare it to our sketch. We look at their 4th quarter and compare it to our jump ball to start the game. In other words, when we compare ourselves to others, it might overwhelm us and prevent us from taking any action whatsoever. My friends Blue and Barry, Blue Melnick, Barry Baumgartner, husband and wife team that runs Sage Event Management, they're great folks and great friends. Matter of fact, at 1:00 today, I've got an online session I'm attending with them, and at 1:00 Pacific, obviously. And they were just the event planning folks that ran Tony Robbins' recent virtual event. 30,000 people on that event. On an average day, we got 1,500, 2,000 people watching Daily Distinction. He had 30,000 people live, right? I mean, the total Daily Distinction numbers are all the replays over all the channels. He had one event, he's got 30,000 people there. Now, if I compare myself to Tony Robbins and think that anything under 30,000 people and I'm a failure, all of a sudden I'll get paralyzed. I would get paralyzed. If you compare yourself to someone's best as you're starting out, it can paralyze you. So what you want to do is to think about what you want to achieve and not compare yourself as much to others who may be in that field. I remember when I got started in the speaking business, one of the things that my late wife Sherry was always critical of me about, and she was right, was that I would look at these speakers that had been in the business for 25 years, and I'd look at what their fees were, and I'd look at how many times they were speaking, and that's what I'd compare myself to. Like my year had been a failure, had been terrible because look, they did this and I did that. And she asked the important question, wouldn't it be great if you could have their calendar from when they were starting and compare it to yours when you were starting? And one of the speakers who became a great friend and a mentor showed me his first year calendar. And in fact, it was about the same as my first year calendar. Now that inspired me because I stopped comparing my year one to his year 20. I started comparing my year one to his year one, thinking by 20, maybe I could be to that point. So be careful in terms of how you compare yourself to other people. Here's the second. You're waiting for the right something. You're waiting for the right time, or you're waiting for the right event, or you're waiting for the right financial situation, or you're waiting for the right. Why? Why are you waiting? Are you certain? Now, I don't mean that you should jump into things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be prudent, but reminded me of Dana Carvey imitating George Bush. Wouldn't be prudent. But the point is, so many times we wait for the right something to come along, and we end up waiting all the time. Ed Foreman, a legendary motivational speaker from Texas and I should say Texas and New Mexico. Davy Crockett and Ed Foreman are the only two individuals elected to Congress from two different states. Isn't that interesting? He was a congressman from Texas, congressman from New Mexico. Well, anyway, Ed Foreman, great speaker. And he used to do this bit that I just loved. And it was about the high school sweethearts, young boy and young gal, and they're just saying, oh, we are so much in love. And when we graduate and when we get married, we're going to be happy. And then they graduate and they get married and they say, yeah, when we start our family and have kids, then we're going to be happy. And they get married and they have kids and they go through the whole thing of starting their family. And they go, when we get the kids off to school and it's just you and me, then we're going to be happy. And the kids go away and they get their house paid off. And they say, when I can get to retirement, then we're going to be happy. And they get to retirement and they look at each other and they realize that they have spent the last 45 years of their life waiting for the right something to happen. And then they would be happy. And if we keep waiting and waiting and waiting, it's not going to get us to the right place. Here's another one. Your fears, your cravings, and your desires aren't aligned with your goals. Those are pretty dramatic words, I realize. First off, maybe your fear isn't aligned with what your goals are. But when I talk about cravings, what I mean is what you just want to have so badly, it's not just a desire, it is a craving. I mean, my craving was to be a speaker, to stand on stage and give keynote speeches. That's part of my fear right now, is what's going to happen to this world, right? But you got to move through it. But you've got to make sure that whatever you fear, and fear is not a bad thing. You only get nervous about the things that matter. If something doesn't matter, then you don't care, right? So if there's a little bit of fear there, that's a good sign that there's something there that you're considering. But what's your cravings? What's your desires? And are they aligned with your goals? Jerry, you're right. You can't be Tony Robbins. Well, each of us can be a great ourselves, and you can't be a great somebody else. So true. I've told the story before about my mentor, Grady Nutt, taking me out to lunch. And I admired him so much in the early days when I was speaking. I wanted to sound like him. I wanted to be him. He was just my hero. And he took me to lunch, and it changed my life. He said, Scott, if you're trying to be the best Grady Nutt you can be, the top that you can hope for is second place. He said, I got a corner on the Grady Nutt market, but you can be the best Scott McKain the world's ever seen. And if you devote yourself to that, good things will happen. And that was such a powerful powerful turning point for me. I didn't have to try to be somebody else. Stop being an imitation. Be the original. They've already got the somebody else, right? So here's number 4. Your tolerance for risk is too low to attain your goals. I mean, whatever your goal might be, if it's not stretching you, then it's not worthy of where you want to be. I mean, if we're looking at, we said, what's preventing you from getting from where you are to where you want to be, and where you want to be has to be some kind of goal. There's got to be something that you want of improvement. But if you're not willing to tolerate the risk that you'll have to take to get from, point A to point B, then you're not going to get there. And for a lot of folks, their tolerance for risk is so low, they won't take a chance. I have a friend, a great friend. I love him. He is an awesome guy. And he is the most risk-averse person I have ever known. And he will not take a risk. He will not take a chance. And as we have grown older, it gets me because so much of the world has passed him by simply because he won't take a risk of any kind. He just won't take a risk. We know people like that in our personal lives, don't we? Those that might have had a bad breakup or a bad relationship. And because of that, they vow to never get hurt that way again. Well, by not being willing to risk getting hurt, they also block the opportunity for love. They block the opportunity for relationship. And these same people will say, oh, I wish I had a great relationship, but yet their risk tolerance is so low, they won't open themselves up to take a chance to what good, let's face it, you could get hurt again. Or you could find a fabulous relationship. Your tolerance for risk has to be higher. Oh, Charles, you remember Grady? Yeah, Grady used to say my last name is spelled N-U-T-T. That second T may not mean much to you, but it means all the world to me. Sherry and I were married in his living room, making us the only couple that you know that were married at the nut house. We really were. You've got to think about your tolerance for risk. Is your tolerance for risk high enough that allow you to do the things that you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve? Here's number 5, you're afraid to fail. I mean, that blocks a lot of people, right? I mean, I don't want people to know I failed. I don't want people to know that I wasn't successful. And that fear of failure prevents us from doing what we need to do to get where we want to go. I love the work of John Maxwell on this when he talks about failing forward. That's such a great concept. I might fail, but I'm going to fall forward as I fail. So I'm a little bit farther ahead, and I get up the next time and fail forward again, and I'm still a little bit farther ahead. It's all in how you perceive it. You've seen all the cliches, you've seen all the lines, but they're true. They're true. Failure isn't fatal. And it's not failure until you stop. It's not failure until you quit. It's not failure until you say, I'm done. I won't do this anymore. So it's not failure until you've determined it is failure. I understand this fear. I get it. I get it. It's paralyzing. It's difficult. But it is a matter of personal choice that you will proceed, that you will, yes, Bonnie, fail forward, that you will figure out how to turn your failures. I mean, good grief, it's the oldest story in the world, but you probably read the story of Abraham Lincoln and how many times he failed before he became the president of the United States. It's an old story. But the essence of that story is still true. So don't be afraid of failure. Here's another one. And this is the one that surprises a lot of people. But I think down deep, it's one that more of us have than what we realize. And that is not the fear of failure. It's the fear of success. It's the fear of success. I have friends back home in Indiana who, they wanted more for their lives, but, the first thing that happened is they got an offer to get promoted to foreman, which meant they would be the boss of the people that they went to work with at the factory every day. And they just didn't want to lose the relationship they had with their friends, because now they look at them differently, they assumed. I know people that are afraid of wealth. Gosh, and then my family would want to borrow money from me, and they would be, and they've already projected all of these things, and they're afraid of what would happen if they would get there. And I think it would change my life. Well, yeah. So there's the question, Yes, Cheryl, failure is only the beginning of succeeding. Yep. Hey, Bonnie, I didn't realize you got your Maxwell certification. That's so fantastic. And I'm so glad you're coming to UBS this year. Thank you for doing that. Hey, Michelle, great to see you. Yes, that makes two of us. I really wish I was doing a live event, but I'm glad to be back in Vegas, and hope everything's healthy and great with you folks. Analyze it and see if this could be a problem for you, a challenge for you, because there's a lot of folks who are afraid of success. Here's number 7. You're waiting on somebody to give you permission. You're waiting on a spouse, or you're waiting on a parent. You're waiting on a child. You're waiting on somebody, a boss. Somebody needs to give you permission, you think, to do what you want to do to get what you want. And I want to suggest to you, with very, very rare exceptions, the only person that needs to give you permission is you. Are you willing to give yourself the permission? That's it. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go into there. I mean, you have to give yourself permission, but there's not too many other people that need to give yourself permission. I got on the scales a couple months ago, and it was the most I'd ever weighed. Most I'd ever weighed. Should I even tell you what it was? I'll tell you what it was. I wasn't going to do this, but I got on a scale, and I weighed 239.9. I was a tenth of a pound away from weighing 240 pounds. I've never weighed 240 in my life. And I just thought, oh my gosh. And all my clothes were tight and everything. So I had to make the decision that I was going to lose some weight. That's it. I did need to go to Tammy and ask her permission. I did need to talk to her about, I was going to change my eating habits. And by the way, thank goodness to my fabulous bride, Tammy, because I can't imagine how difficult this would have been if Tammy would say, hey, okay, you have that salad. I'm going to run through In-N-Out Burger, or I'm going to go down here to Sonic, to the drive-in, right? I mean, that would have driven me crazy. But I got on the scale this morning. I was 218. So, and I've still got more to go, but I realized I was waiting on somebody else to give me permission to change my life. And I am so grateful to my new friend, JJ Virgin, for, putting me on the path and help steering that and that. But good grief. The only person who we have to seek permission from is ourself. I mean, that's it. Michelle, what a great point. People are afraid of hiring those that are better than them at their weak. And oh my gosh, Tammy and I've been talking about this. You're really hitting the nail on the head, because we've been talking about how, we are making a list of the things we're not good at, or the things we don't enjoy doing. And we've got to figure out how we spend more of our time doing what matters, and doing less of our time doing these things that we're not good at anyway, that's taking time away from what we need to be doing to make things better. So I appreciate it, Charles. Thank you. Well, more to go. Thank you, Bonnie. Farther to go, but we're getting there. And you know what? After a period of time, I'm digging it. I'm loving it. It's amazing to me. It's the old thing that we've talked about forever, about how long it takes to, change a habit or to make a habit different. And, it's crazy. I find myself now, JJ Virgin has this great line, because I tell you what got me more than anything. I love French fries. I mean, I love French fries. My sister Shelly could tell you, I could live on French fries when I was a kid. French fries and ketchup, man, that's love it. Love French fries like you cannot believe. And JJ has this line that says, people ask me if they can eat potatoes. And my response is, think about the shape of a potato. If that is the shape you would like to have, then by all means, eat potatoes. I cannot get that image out of my head. I mean, I open up our freezer and there's still a bag of tater tots in there. And my mouth started watering just talking about tater tots. But all I can see is the shape of the potato and her line, which is so great, that if you want to look like a potato, then by all means, go ahead and eat them. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. And the key is to keep it off, right? I mean, the key is there's still a few more pounds to go, but the key is to keep it off. And that is only going to happen through discipline. And I hope to continue that. Here's number 8, final one. You assume that passion or talent are the primary keys to success. Might be holding you back because you think, oh, I'm not talented enough. Oh, passion is the key. And I think that if we did a poll of the most successful people out there, and I'm not just talking about monetary success, right? I'm talking about family success and friends success and values success and all of those things. I would think that probably more people would say persistence was the key over all of this, that they kept at it. And sometimes they get fortunate. I'm not going to say lucky. Luck is random. You got to be doing something, right? I mean, even to win the lottery, you got to go buy a ticket. I mean, it's not that they knock at your door and hand you $1 million. Hey, we just pulled your name out of a hat. No, you had to buy a ticket at least. So you got to do something. And I just know that if we did a study of successful people, that persistence would be ranked as the number one aspect of success. That's what's important. It's that connection with understanding that if we keep at it, Babe Ruth said, hard to beat a man that doesn't quit. I love that line. Hard to beat a man that doesn't quit. Hard to beat a person, a woman or a man who refuses to give up when they are pursuing what is really significant and important to them. There's some writing by Malcolm Gladwell on when should we quit. There are points along the way that we really should say, I need to go a different direction. Have you seen some of the folks that sing in the tryouts for American Idol? Maybe they need to find something else to pursue. Because I'm not saying that passion or talent isn't involved at all. Of course it is. But the primary thing that holds us back is not a lack of passion. It's not a lack of talent. It is a lack of persistence. So to review, if you've just joined it in, we talked today about what's holding you back from what you need. And for some of us, it is the situation. The pandemic shut down our businesses, or there's things that are happening that we can't avoid, but yet we have to figure out how we're going to make it better. So comparing yourself to others, waiting for the right moment or the right event or the right finance or whatever, waiting for the right something can paralyze us, can hold us in place. Our fears, the cravings, desires we have aren't aligned with our goals. Maybe our risk tolerance is too low. We need to bump it up a little bit, take a little more risk to attain what we want. Maybe you're afraid of failing. We got to remind ourselves we can fail forward, and failure isn't fatal. You might be afraid of success. It's one that's often overlooked. Take a look and see, is that what's holding you back? Are you afraid of, if you do get it, maybe it'll change your life? Well, isn't that kind of what you want? I mean, let's go for something better. You're waiting for permission from somebody else when, in fact, the permission you need is to give yourself permission to succeed. And finally, as we said, you might assume that passion or talent are the primary keys to success. It's not. It's persistence. It's staying with it. It's figuring out a way to win. Hey, one last reminder before we're out of here. That's the Ultimate Business Summit. It's coming up in 10 days. If you haven't registered, do that at ultimatebusinesssummit.com. Enter the coupon code SCOTT. When you check out, you get $100 off. That means with the coupon, it's less than $100 to attend the Ultimate Business Summit in just 10 days with some great speakers and some great events. Also, our short course on how to communicate in virtual events, how to step up your virtual events, whether you're in sales and you have to do this to talk to your clients and prospects, a financial advisor communicating with your clients and prospects in this manner, or even a meeting planner doing a big event. It's especially for you folks. Registration is now open, and because you watch Daily Distinction, just enter Distinct50 as your coupon code when you check out, and you get to take $50 off. Thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow, same time. See you tomorrow for the next Daily Distinction.